Hello, my name is Jane Blackwell and I'm a McDonald's franchisee. I'm from South Wales, as you can probably tell by the accent. Today I'm going to take you on my journey from the start of my career to where I currently am today. A little bit about myself. I'm 45 years old. I'm married with 3 children, 22, 19 and almost 12. My career started at the age of 21. I finished university in Wales and I was looking for a career. It wasn't business at that time. I was ambitious. I wanted to do well. I wanted to be successful. I had a lot of passion and I was very hardworking. I'd worked hard up until that point. So I understood that success, in order to be successful, you needed to be hardworking. So I had the commitment there. Just didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So I was looking through the papers and I came across an advert for South Wales Police, recruiting for police constables at that point in time. It was, I think it was a perfect fit for me actually at that time. I thought that it was challenging, I would be active. It was completely new to what I would have done, or I even thought about doing. So I applied and I was successful in my application, and I can honestly say that I loved it. I started off as a fairly naive 21-year-old and developed the job role molded me into pretty much the person I am today. I became very independent and strong and just felt confident that I could overcome so many challenges. So what I learned to deal with people from different walks of life, different situations, think on my feet, and be confident with doing making those decisions. So I have no regrets about starting the place. Absolutely loved it, and like I said, I attribute a lot of what that was for me today. However, I had my 2 children while I was in the police force, and although that was fine, I was able to go part-time and kind of combine mother and career, which it was difficult, and going part-time was a decision that I made to look after the children, but also I felt like I wasn't fulfilling my potential from a career perspective, and that kind of did struggle with me. So I did about 10 years in the police force, just short of 10 years, and I was looking for another challenge. So at this point, my husband had his own business, so I kind of knew what business was about, or at least I thought I knew what business was about. I thought that, yeah, this is something that I could definitely do. So I decided to take a career break from the police, which I was able to do, I was fortunate to do at that time. And I looked for businesses that could combine the family aspect, but it was also small enough for me to be able to dip my toe in and see if this was the right fit for me. So I was looking at something within the community. As I said, my skill set through the police force, very customer-led, people-led, and I was able to make decisions and talk to people in all walks of life, really. So I looked for a local business, and after quite a bit of research, we found a post office, which had the advantage of my home being in with the business. So I thought, this is fabulous. I could be at home, I can nip in and out, I could see the kids, the benefit of just getting up and just walking to next door to my business. It was a franchise, which I didn't have something that I could sell myself. So I knew that I would have to go into business with a model that was already set up and successful, that I knew that I could just go in and make it better because of the person that I was. So franchising was definitely something that I looked at from the very beginning, due to that support structure that it gave you, and certainly the confidence that it would give me in going into business for the first time. So bought the business. Whoa, it was hard work. Yes, it was a franchise and you had the training, but for the first time I was responsible for people's lives, for their pay, for making sure they had holiday, for legislation, for accounting, tax affairs, VAT returns, buying stock. It was a really steep learning curve, and one I fully embraced it, but it was really hard work, and I probably went in there with slightly rose tinted glasses and thought that I was gonna master this from day one. Well, that didn't happen. It was just hard work, and I had to learn fast and on the go, but it was wonderful. I loved being my own boss. I loved making a difference, being part of the community, changing things, and that would be my decision, whether if it was right or wrong. I'd make my own mistakes, and it was liberating to be in business. However, post office was kind of going into decline at that point. So lots were shutting down. I was fortunate that the branch that I had, I'd done quite well. I'd really built it up and it became a commercial branch, and I'd put another business alongside it. So all the energy that I put into that business at that time really paid dividends, because they kept it open certainly for the community. I think that was a massive benefit. And obviously for me, I still had my business, but I realized that I'd reached my potential within that industry. I couldn't do anymore. I wasn't able to add anything more to it, and I was far more ambitious than that. I knew that, I mean, the time lapse of this was 6 years. I knew that within that time I'd grown as a person. There was no going back now to the police force. I was very much committed to being self-employed, or to being to having my own business and being in charge of my own destiny. It was definitely the way forward for me. So I then was looking at another business opportunity, something bigger, something that would challenge me, something that would be multi-site operations, something that would still be within the community. At the time there was a recession, so I think that I was looking for certainly a business that was within the food sector, and definitely franchising, 100% franchising. The fact that the model is there, is successful, is tried, is tested. I just have to come in and put my stamp on it, put my personality on it, and I knew that I could do that. I knew that it required hard work, but I knew I had that in me to give. So I looked within the franchising sector, the food industry, something that was community-based, something that I could resonate with, a brand that I trusted. And like many other women or many other people going into business, I did my due diligence. I researched it. I went to expos, read seminars, I read books, and I came across McDonald's. McDonald's, what a big brand. Was it too ambitious? Maybe, but I'm always up for a challenge. And I put my application in May 2011. I was successful on the first application, and I got to go to an interview. It was daunting. I was really daunted. I felt like, it seems cliche, but you got this imposter syndrome. I genuinely felt that they were going to go, turn around, lady, off you go, back out the door. It was scary. I was worried that I wasn't good enough for this big brand. However, from the very beginning, I was put with a person that took me through the process, a employee called Joe, he was fantastic. And with regard to the process for McDonald's, it does take you through a journey. Basically, you're going to be going into a business with a brand that requires your full dedication for the rest of your career. They need to know that you are the right fit, and they want to make sure that they are the right fit for you as well. So it's the very first time I'd experienced this, so I couldn't understand why it would take so long. But I think looking back with hindsight, it was a journey that I needed to take to understand myself, to build my confidence, and know that yes, this was a global brand, but I was more than capable of doing well within this brand. And we went on the journey, and it took about 18 months from application to actually getting my first restaurant. So it's probably a little bit longer than 18 months, about 20 months. Yeah, it is a long time, but as I said, I did need it. I needed that self-awareness that I was making the right decision, that this was the right thing for my family, that was the right thing for me, and I was going to do this brand justice. I knew that the skill set that I had was very transferable, and I was going to be dealing with very ordinary people within the workforce who I've dealt with my whole career, so I would have felt very comfortable within that environment. So went through 20 months of this application process. Was it stressful? Yes. Yes, it was stressful. And did I think at some point that this is just too much? Yes. But I'm so glad that I kind of stuck it out and believed in myself. It would be remiss of me not to talk about the training process that I went through with McDonald's. Part of the application process was a 9-month training program whereby you would work full-time in a restaurant that was fairly local to yourself, so you would travel there every day. You would do a full-time role, various shifts, because it's a 24-hour restaurant generally. Most of the restaurants are 24 hours. But during that time, you would learn all the roles. So crew member, everything you've seen in McDonald's, from customer care to back room to kitchen to service to drive-through, every job you've ever seen anybody do, you would learn that initially as a crew member. And the training, so the online training that came with that as well, you would have to do that as part of the process. Then you would move on to crew trainer. Again, you would do the training that was required for a crew trainer. You would do the examinations and the training required to be a manager. And then you would move up to salaried manager and then that of a BM. So you're exposed to all parts of the business. You gain a very, very good understanding as to what it's like within that restaurant. And towards the end of that process, then you'll be exposed to the financials and what the business manager has to do for P&Ls as part of their job role, and you get a better understanding then of what the model looks like. But I can honestly say that 9 months is a long time, and it's a full-time role, but I attribute it to a large part of my success. I felt so much more confident going into the restaurant, knowing that I was able to have that knowledge and the ability to go in and work alongside the BM. Yes, you are still learning when you go in there, but such a unique, fantastic training program that I wouldn't say don't let it deter you. It'll set you up for success. I got my first restaurant in Banbury, in Oxfordshire. Yeah, how exciting to be a part of this massive brand. And you know what? I think I felt that I had to come from this corporate background, but actually in hindsight, I never did. I just have to be a very real person. And that's exactly what I am. What you see is kind of what you get with me. And that's what you needed within this business. Absolutely. I took over my first store. I had approximately 80 staff. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. It was a lot of work. It is hard work. A business is hard work, and I think that everybody understands that. But the amazing thing with McDonald's is that during that 18 months, I'd had 9 months of training. It's a long time, but oh boy, was it invaluable. I walked into that restaurant on day one. I knew exactly what all of these people were doing, from crew member to crew trainer to manager to the business manager. I knew exactly what everybody should be doing. Was I an expert at that point? No, of course I wasn't an expert. I'd had 9 months of training, but what it was, I wasn't completely utterly unaware of what they were doing. So I could go in there, I could talk to them about what their decisions they were making, the customer service piece, how I want my business to be, how I want to be represented within the community, and how I was going to mold that business going forward. The training was crucial. McDonald's is such a fast-paced business. It doesn't slow down. It is continuous from the beginning to the end, all the different day parts. So had I gone in there without that training, you're not being set up for success. McDonald's will 100% set you up for success. That is the whole model system's based around. You are trained through every element, and then when you go in, it is about you still learning, but it's about you putting your stamp onto it. So that training piece was there. I went in, I put my stamp on it, and I didn't feel confident from the beginning. I still felt like I had to prove myself, but I feel like that generally in everyday life, just as a woman in business. I think women in business, we perhaps try to overcompensate because we feel that we're potentially not good enough. But what has definitely taught me is that I am good enough. I can run this business, and I am good at running this business. I look after my staff. I look after my customers. I value the brand that I work alongside. It is a fantastic brand. For me, franchising was 100% the right way to go. And I'm not sure if women in business would find that easier, because it's a model. We haven't got to change anything. They don't want you to change anything. It's a tried and tested model that works. It works very well. Why would I want to change it? But what I can do is that I can go in and I can put the Jane Blackwell stamp on it. So my staff like working for me, and because they like working for me, everybody is working together, and we're all working hard to achieve the ultimate goal, to have a nice work-life balance. To be able to come into work and enjoy your job is wonderful. So, as I said, I started my business in Banbury 3 years ago. I relocated back to South Wales, and I now have 5 restaurants in the Newport and Cardiff area. I have 480 staff. I have a supervisor and a very large salary team. I still work hard. It's a hard business. It is hard because it's business and it's people, and you have to care and you have to be involved in everything that they do, and make sure that your values are continually being fed through your business in the correct way. McDonald's, from beginning to end, have been supportive of everything that I've done, whether that's working alongside communities, sponsoring football teams, being part of the Chamber of Commerce, being part of women's networks, mentoring women, just everything that you do, fundraising. We do loads of fundraising for RMHC. Whatever you do, they will support you within that community, because ultimately it is about paying back and giving back to your community that you work in, and I encourage my staff to do that as well. And throughout the lockdown challenge, we had we did loads of fundraising for various charities actually, which kept us all connected as well. So what I would end with saying really is that I went into business thinking that I could do it and that I could do a good job back in the day of the post office. The post office taught me that I was capable of doing it. McDonald's has helped me achieve that ambition. I'm eternally grateful for all the support I get from the other franchisees within the UK. We get together quite often and we talk, and they're always there at the end of the phone to deal with any problems that you may have, or just generally supporting you. What I would say, don't be scared of large brands. Generally, the support systems that they've got in place is amazing. The training they've got is amazing. I love my business. I love being in business, and I'm extremely proud to tell people that I'm a McDonald's franchisee, and I've got 5 restaurants. That's even better. So my word of advice is, we are good in business. Women, we generally succeed in business. We know the attributes that you need to be successful. And if you've got the ambition and the determination, I would say go for it. It's something that I will never regret. Did I come from a corporate background? No, I didn't. But I've been successful. I've done very well. I've done very well with hard work and being myself, and staying loyal to the brand and loyal to my team. So thank you very much for listening, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.